Hi, everybody. I want to talk to you about yesterday and everything else. I titled this thing, God's Refining Us for a Greater Purpose. I want to talk what we've been, what we've gone through, what we've walked through, what we've seen in the past. Here's what's going on, in my opinion. God is after something. He's after something in us. He's after something, God's ways. We've talked about this. If you listen to any of my videos, if you go back and you watch and you see, you're going to realize that God is getting us ready for a greater purpose. He's got something for us, but he's got to refine us. Now, his ways have never been our ways. His thoughts have never been our thoughts. If we ever lose track of, or if we ever decide that God is not on the throne, or right, he's left, or he's not God anymore, then we can worry. We've never put our trust in man. Man is always going to fail us, and systems will always fail us. Kings and kingdoms will pass away, but God's kingdom won't pass away, right? So here's what's going on. God has, anytime that there's a refining process that is happening, whether it's in the natural, whether it's with the wine or with heat bringing impurities to the surface on metal or anything that needs to gain strength, the heat always gets turned up higher in order to bring the impurities to the top, right? So I'm not concerned about what's going on right now. What I'm concerned about is the way we're handling what's going on right now, okay? God is the author and the finisher of the work he started. He has a plan for us. He has a plan for our country. He's got a plan for us and our nation. He's never going to leave us. He's never going to forsake us. God took us to Psalm 2 yesterday when all this was going on. And basically just go and read it. I'm going to post it up on Instagram. I've got it on my Facebook. But what's really happening here is that he is bringing us to a point where he can bring out all the impurities and all the junk. I do these freaking outreaches in all these weird places. If I had knee-jerk reactions to every single thing that goes on, I would never accomplish my mission. I have to be single-minded, and I have to realize and understand that God is in control. Does he do things my way? No. Does he do them in my timing? No. Does he have a bigger plan? Yes. Is he working all these things out? Is he allowing all this stuff to come out so that when it comes out, man's hands won't be on it? It will be absolutely exposed for what it is. There will not be any room for finger pointing. There won't be any room for blame shifting. And in the meantime, God is working out something in us. Okay? He is literally trying to get us to a place where we trust him and him alone. When Abraham was promised a son, and he and Sarah went about it a different way, right? And it produced so much trouble for them. But it says that in the history of the faith heroes, right, in Hebrews, it says that God, or Abraham, did not consider the deadness of Sarah's womb. He didn't look at it. He didn't look at the fact she was old. He didn't look at the fact that she was beyond childbearing years. But he believed God, and it was accounted to him as righteousness. And God did bring forth the promise. Did it come in his timing? No. Did it come in the way he wanted it? No. Did it come when it was the most ridiculously... I like what Max Lucado said one time. She's the only woman in town that paid her pediatrician with her Social Security check. Things are going to happen, and they're going to be way beyond our ability to comprehend. But here's what God's after in us. And I'm going to read from 2 Peter, 2 Peter. And it says, this is 2 Peter 1:5. So make every effort to apply benefits of these promises to your life. Then your faith will produce a life of moral excellence. Moral excellence. This is what's going to get us. He's got to do a refining process and get us ready for what he's got for us. okay? And there has to be moral excellence in there. A life of moral excellence leads to knowing God better. Knowing God leads to self-control. Self-control, temperance, self-control, no knee jerks. Self-control leads to patience and patient endurance. And patient endurance leads to godliness. And godliness leads to a life of love for other Christians. And finally, you grow and have genuine love one for another. And if you grow like this, you become more productive, using your knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. Those who fail to develop these virtues are blind, or at least very short-sighted. And they've already forgotten that God cleansed them from their old ways. Remember that we're new creatures, right, in Christ? So it says, if you do these things and follow this recipe, you will never fail. You will never fail. I believe that there are positions. I think that there are things that there are established, appointed positions that God has for us. Sorry, my hair's in my face. I believe that there's appointed positions for us, but we cannot assume those positions. We cannot take those places of responsibility if we have knee-jerk reactions to everything that happens in life. If our eyes don't go immediately to God, if we don't say, what are you doing, God? What are you doing? Not what's going on, not looking horizontally at each other and all these things and trying to figure things out. If we don't go immediately to God and say, God, how do we handle this? What is your plan? What is your thing? What is it that you want to do? How do you want to handle this? Then we are short-sighted, and we are putting ourselves in a position. Jesus told us, in the world, you're going to have tribulation. And he said, but be of good cheer. That's a weird thing to say. In this world, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have tribulation. You're going to have things that don't match up. They're going to have things that bother you. There's going to be things that are unjust and unreal. However, he said, be of good cheer, because I have overcome this world. We don't know what is ahead for us. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in the office. What matters is God's in the throne. God's still the king. He can work through anything. If he can work through a donkey, if he can talk through an ass, he can definitely talk through anyone in any place of leadership ever. So I think what's happened is God has revealed where our priorities were and where our priorities are. And what he's saying to us now is, get it together. Begin to look at me. Look at me. I remember that God told me, he used to do this thing when I would go into these places, especially the adult arena, because that was the hardest one for me. I'd never been into porn, and I didn't know what that was, and I didn't have any grit or understanding for what that was. And when I went in there, it was almost like God was going, hey, look right here. He put 2 fingers out, and then he pointed his eyes. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I know what I'm doing. I know what's going on in here. And I didn't get the opportunity to have a knee-jerk reaction to things I saw, to things that went down, to the injustice that was happening inside there. I didn't get that opportunity. What I got an opportunity to do was to listen to God, was to draw closer to him, was to develop my love language with God, was to develop my love language with everyone else and people, was to learn how to love deeply and learn how to love, because love doesn't fail. Everything else will fail, but love never fails. Never, ever fails. It doesn't have it in it. It doesn't have it in the component. So where's the battleground? What's going on? It's right here. This is the battleground. We're trying to run everything through what we see. We're listening to all kinds of things on the news and everything else. That is not the good news. That is not God's news. He's got other things that he's going to do. He's not finished. God isn't finished. You know, I'm telling you, we have watched in so many different times when the Lord has said, I'm after something in you. And when he tells me that, when he says, I'm after something in you, my world gets hard. Things start coming out. Things start happening to me. I start feeling uneasy. I start getting unsettled. I start having circumstances that draw out certain things that God wanted to put his hand on and go, see this? This was in there. This was in your heart. This is in your heart. And so I was learning all along to learn to trust God. The other thing God's doing is he's refining the church. He's got to. Man, I'm telling you, we are in a refining process right now for something greater, something much, much greater. He's in control. The king's heart, I think it's Proverbs 16:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and it's like water. He directs it any which way he wants. Like I said, the first thing that when I saw this stuff coming down yesterday, I just went, you know what, God, what are you doing? What are you doing? Not what's happening, not about the votes, not about the House, not about the Senate, not about the presidency. It's like, God, what are you doing? Because my citizenship is in heaven. Your citizenship is in heaven. And we're going to get to see God do and use us in miraculous ways. He's going to do things for us and through us. He always does a work in us to do a work through us. Always. We're never going to get around God doing a work in us. And that's what he's doing right now. And so he's telling us, I want you to add these things to yourself. I want you to add temperance, patience, self-control. I want you to add faith. Where's your faith? Where is it? Is it in this world system? That's going to fail you every time, every single time. And God is the one who can unthrone kings, by the way. He can unthrone kings. He can unthrone people who put themselves in positions. He gives grace to the humble and he resists the proud. He's bringing all this stuff out. There won't be anything that we won't see for ourselves, but it will be God's hand that does it. And there will be no room for blame shifting. Okay? So there is a process. There's a reason why God has done it this way, why he's allowed this to happen. And our whole identity is wrapped up in who we are in him and who he is in us. That's it. He will do great and mighty, mighty things in us and through us and with us. And by this, and we need to learn to love each other. We are not each other's enemy. We are not the problem here. God said, you know, our weapons are not against flesh and blood. I mean, our battle is not against flesh and blood. And our weapons aren't carnal. We are in a war of spirit things right now. But God is the king. He has already overcome the world. He has already settled the argument. And he knows exactly what he's doing. And one of the things I can guarantee you he's doing right now is he's purifying his church. He's allowing this stuff. He will always offend your mind to reveal your heart. Always. And when it comes out, and then you're like, oh my goodness, I had no idea I felt that way. I didn't know what was hidden. Did we not say, expose everything? Did God not say, I'm going to be shaking everything that can be shaken? Did he say, hey, just go ahead, do your life, do whatever you want to do? And God's going, excuse me, I see some things hidden in you. Did we not say, God, search me and try me and see if there's any wicked way in me and lead me in a path of righteousness and give me purity and let's get that stuff out of there. We're in transition right now. We are in transition. And we are going to see God do amazing things in our future. He has got a revival coming. And it is already cresting. It's already cresting. And it doesn't matter what's going on in this present world. What matters is God is in control. And he's after us. And so that's where we are. And that's where we've got to be. When things happen out of our control, when things happen that don't go our way, when things happen that we've heard prophets say and everything else, let me tell you about that. When people hear things or they see things, prophecy is always in part, okay? So, and the other thing is we don't know what this is going to look like in 2 months. We don't know. None of us do. None of us know what this is going to look like. But this is another thing that you need to keep in mind, is God's going to reveal some things through dreams. He will. He's changing an entire Middle East country right now through the vehicle of dreams. Jesus is showing up to people in dreams, Muslims, and they're getting saved by the droves in dreams. God is not blocked up. We are. He's not blocked up. He can get his message across. If the media shuts everything down, he can still get his message to us. He can tell us what's going on. You know, we pioneered, we did churches in Utah. We had no Christian anything. It was all Mormon run, right? And we were down in Provo, which is 98% Mormon. We went into our closet, Tim and I did, early Christians. We were like in our 20s. And we went into our closet and asked God, what are you doing? And God would tell us things from heaven, what he was doing. And we would scrape together all this money in order to go to a conference. And when we got there, they were telling us everything God had told us in the closet. We're not going to depend on people right now. People are going to be assisting us. We've got to have teams. He's going to use every joint supplies. The body is going to come together. But he's after something in us right now. That's what I think. I think he's after something in us right now. And he's going, look, I'm not as concerned about this election and about everything else as I am about my bride. I'm concerned about my bride. I want you to be pure and spotless, without wrinkle. I want you to be able to navigate specifically, listening closely to my word, doing what I tell you to do without having a knee-jerk reaction to everything that goes on. I don't want you turning against each other. I need for you to listen to me and let me guide you. And I will guide you. So that's where we are. And I know that it has not been easy. I know it has been hard. I know that people just had a meltdown. That's very human and that's very emotion driven, and I get it. We live with emotions. We can't discredit that. We can't say that's, but what we've got to realize is that God is still in charge. If circumstances get so severe and so weird and so out of control, and I run to the throne and Jesus isn't sitting there, that's when I'm going to worry. That's when I'm going to be like, oh no, what's happened? Just take me home, right? But he's still on the throne and he knows exactly what he's doing. This is a recipe from heaven designed by God to do his work. It is not our way. It is not our thoughts, and it's not our timing. But I guarantee you God's doing something. And he's going to expose everything that can be exposed, and he's going to do it himself, and there will be no one else to blame. And in the meantime, God's going to take us through a refining process in order to get us ready for what he has for us. We are going to rise up. Those who know their God are going to rise up and do exploits on this earth. He wants to put us in positions where he can trust us. And he can move through us. And he can love through us. And when everything comes down and you're still standing, and you still have God's strength and courage on the inside of you, and you hold up your staff when the army is pressing against you, and the Red Sea parts for us, because he will not let us fail. When our eyes are stayed on him, he will keep us in peace, he will keep us in love, and he's going to train us how to do warfare according to him. He's going to train us. He's building an army. He's building an army of lovers of God who know their strength, who know their God, who won't crumble under pressure. So I had to tell you this today. I'm going to put another little post up. Read Psalm 2. Understand that God is in control. Understand that he's got this under his belt. He knows exactly what's happening. We are under the shadow of his wing. We need to put our ear really close to his mouth and let him talk to us right now. And let him refine us and bring out all the impurities and all the stuff. Okay? All right. Listen, we pray for you guys. We love you guys. Get ready for dreams. Get ready for things that God wants to talk to you himself. It's not going to come from man. It's going to come, it will come from anointed men who hear the charge God's wanting us to get a hold of him. When trouble hits, God, what are we going to do? We align ourselves with him. What are we going to do? God, what is your plan? God, what are you doing? Jesus, where do you need me? God, how do you want me to position myself? What do you want to talk to me about? What do you want to tell me? And that's what's going to get you there, okay? All right. Go to my YouTube channel while it's still up and watch the other videos. We talked about deliverance. We talked about discernment. We talked about the process. We've got to honor the process. And we don't. We don't honor the process. We don't like process. We want things instant. We want things right away. God isn't like that. He's never been like that. So we are going to see God do amazing and incredible things. We have a great awakening already breaking on us. I just did a thing with the Ghost Hunters. Tidal wave dreams were all over the place. Last night I did a beginner dream class, tidal wave dreams. Everywhere I've turned, tidal wave dreams. That's what's happening right now, tidal wave dreams. Things out of our control, but it's going to splash on us like crazy. So, all right. Love one another. Love one another. That's your commandment. This is my commandment, that you love one another. I want you to be one, like me and the Father are one. That's what Jesus said. Love one another. This isn't about flesh and blood battles. This is about principalities, spiritual wickedness, which we are learning how to take control of. We're going to learn how to do spiritual warfare. I'm going to do a whole training on spiritual warfare. I'm going to teach us how to pray and how to pray effectively and how to pray from our spirit man instead of our emotions, instead of our soul. Right now we need to learn how to operate from the spirit. Okay? Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. All right. I love you guys. We're going to be doing some training. I'm going to be doing another video, and I want you to be able to get a hold of God. Hold on. Okay? Hold on. Let God bring the impurities to the surface. Deal with our stuff. Deal with everything that has jacked us up in the last couple of days. And trust him. He's always going to do things different than us. He really is. All right. Talk with you soon. Peace out. Praying for you. Praying for you. All right? And we've got some great days ahead. All right. Talk to you soon. Oh, go to my website, cindymcgill.org. Sign up for the Shout. We need to have your emails in case Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram shuts us down like they did Trump. We need your emails. And the platforms that we're going to use for training are going to be different than probably Facebook and other things like that. We're going to find another way to get messages to you. All right? Okay. Talk to you soon. Love you guys. Bye.